Have you been looking at other people's consoles and systems and seeing all these cool customizations that they're doing, and you've just been sitting on the sidelines wishing you too knew how to open up your system, install new buttons, and put the whole thing back together without breaking the thing? Well, after watching this video, you too can be someone who voids warranties with confidence. When I first got started in this hobby, I was absolutely terrified of opening up any system, but it's not until you try. After all, a little risk is a small price to pay for perfection. What's up guys, today we are going to be breaking down the TrimUI Brick and customizing some buttons. Mech DIY had sent over this black TrimUI Brick, it's absolutely beautiful, and they also included this guy, my custom logo on the back plate. How amazing is that? Alright, let's go ahead and get started. First thing I suggest you do is to watch this tutorial in full before trying to do this installation process yourself. Now the first thing I'm going to do is shut off my system. It's always good to shut off your system before doing something like this, and here are the Mech DIY tools that I received. I'm going to go ahead and organize these, put this next to me, and if you don't have these tools, you can always use some tools like that you can get off Amazon. Next step is to figure out how you want to configure these buttons, because I got two sets of greens. I love the green-black combo, and as I want this TrimUI Brick to look similar to my Miyoo Mini, I want it to be as close to this as possible. I feel like the second pair that I got just really feels like the Miyoo Mini, how that one looks. So after you're done, go ahead and organize all of your buttons in a single place. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the star bit tool, and there are 6 screws that we need to take off. And you want to do this in a diagonal fashion. You want to go slow. That's the key. Go slow. And I'm slowly putting pressure and just slowly releasing it, not all the way. And then I hit the diagonal and I go to that one and I release this guy, and then I just make my way around. And once you're done, make sure to put your screws in a safe spot. I just went ahead and labeled a piece of paper as backplate. That way I know later on that's where these screws came from. And we're gonna continue screwing everything off. Again, take your time. I know this might feel daunting at first, but trust me, you got this. It's not as hard as it looks. Now the next part, you need to be very careful. We're gonna open the system from left to right. And the reason we're doing this from left to right is because there is the battery cord that's connected to the motherboard, and you don't wanna break that. I've seen some people actually open it the wrong way and I cringe every time. So we're gonna go ahead and lightly pull up and it comes right out. It's very simple. We're gonna go ahead and put this system to the side, and we're going to concentrate on the back plate area first. It is very simple. 2 screws here. You're going to need to grab your other tool, the Phillips head, and we're going to just unscrew these screws. Simple as that. And once you're done, put those screws in a separate container and go ahead and just lift off. It comes right off. There are 2, I guess, these pins that are connecting the board together, and it just came right off. Very simple. And to make this as foolproof as possible, we are going to just take one of the triggers and we're going to place it in the corresponding spot on the back plate we want to transfer them to, so we don't mix them up and we don't have to do something twice. You know, you just want to do this once and you want to do it correctly. So we're going back and forth. We're going to go ahead and put the second one, do the rest of them, and once you're done, we're going to go ahead and screw it back on to finish up this back side of the system. Now this feels a little bit tricky and it might seem a little bit difficult, but just align those 2 alignment pins with the back plate. And once you find that, you're gonna wanna just kind of wiggle it and it's gonna snap in. As long as you align those pins, it's gonna go in. It's super easy, and you'll hear a little bit of a snap, and I'm gonna go ahead and press these triggers to make sure they're functioning, and they are. So once we do that, you can see the pin right here. We grab that pin right here, and there's a pin right over here. You want those to align, and that's what keeps that back plate in place. Now we're just gonna screw the back plate back on. It's as simple as that. This part is the easiest part, and don't over tighten these screws. Just give it a little bit of torque, and that's it. Now we're done. You're done. That was the first part. And make sure the triggers work. These work fine. And we're gonna go ahead and place this to the side. I mean, this was super easy. You can do it. All right, let's go ahead and grab the system and look at the board. And this part right here, which is the cooling pad or heating pad, we're gonna go and put that right there eventually. But before we do that, we wanna take this off very carefully and put that to the side because we are going to reuse this. It doesn't come with another one. So we'll put it to the side and we'll take care of that later. Next, there are 2 screws up here for the light bar. We're not going to start with this first. What we're going to do actually is grab, I think this is the Wi-Fi cable. We're going to just slowly try and get it to just start it off, because you can pick this up with your fingers. I've done this plenty of times, but we're just kind of giving it a little nudge, all right, just to loosen it up, and then just pull up with your fingers. You're not going to break it. You just have to pull it out just like that. Super simple. Once we're done with that, the next thing we're going to concentrate on are the ribbon cable. We're going to slowly find that little groove underneath that black area and just lift up just like that and pull down on the ribbon cable, and that slides right out. And it's built very well. This whole TrimUI brick, very well. And the rest of these screws that I'm showing you right now, we're gonna go ahead and tackle the light bar real quick. This one's very easy. Just unscrew those 2 screws and put them in a separate container. And we're gonna go ahead and actually place this light bar next to that container so we know these are the exact screws that came with the light bar. So we're saying super organized. All right, next thing we're gonna do is tackle the 3 screws on the bottom. But actually I'm gonna go ahead and remove these guys. These are the speakers. So you can just pull these out just upwards. You know, you pull toward yourself and they pop right out. Super, super easy. And this one's giving me a little trouble, but after a while they come out. Just go slow. Don't be too violent with the thing. Just go slow and they'll come out. So the next one is we're gonna concentrate on the center screw first, then the right, then the left. I like to do this. You don't have to do it in any particular order. That's just how I feel is the best way to go about doing this. Now here comes the tricky part, but not too hard. You're gonna just kind of pry it up and watch the ribbon cable, all right? This ribbon cable just slides right through that hole on the board. Very simple. And I lifted the board up and it comes right out. So we're gonna go ahead and put that off to the side. And here's the fun part. We're gonna go ahead and tackle the membrane. The membrane, it's connected on these little pegs right here, and we're just gonna pull it out, and it comes out pretty easily. And here is the D-pad. The D-pad, we're gonna switch with the new D-pad, and keep note, you wanna make sure that the D-pad is correctly aligned. And how do you know that? Well, you can look closely and you can see that little triangle made of those 3 circles. Make sure that the top one is on the top. I believe if you turned it in a certain different way, I think it would probably look the same, but just remember that just in case it doesn't. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and put that back. It's as simple as lining it up and then just pushing on those 4 corners to make sure it's in the alignment peg. And it's as simple as that. That was super easy. Next, we're gonna go ahead and concentrate on the buttons. So let's go ahead and lift this guy up. Just slowly lift them up, be gentle. Again, don't rush. And remember, just go slow. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And to make our lives as simple as possible, so we don't have to memorize this, because I know I memorized it, but you might not, or you might forget when you're doing this. Let's go ahead and remove 1 button at a time. So I'm gonna go ahead and move the X button, and check this out. You're gonna see here, there is this little groove right here. They made this like really, really smart. They designed this very smart because the Miyoo Mini wasn't like this. You're gonna slide it in right there. So match up that little groove into that spot, and it's excellent because you're gonna get every time the perfect position. Sometimes when I was doing my Miyoo Mini, I noticed some of the buttons were twisted a little bit diagonally because I didn't do it right. But here, no, they go in perfectly and they're gonna line up absolutely like super accurately. I love how TrimUI designed their system. And then we're gonna go ahead and do that button. And finally, we're gonna do the Y button. And yeah, just make sure when you're doing it, you're just taking one out at each one out at a time, and you're taking the corresponding button and you're putting it in so you don't accidentally get mixed up. All right, now let's go ahead and gently pick this up, and let's go ahead and put this. I find if you did this kind of like diagonally, so I'm doing this kind of flat to show you guys, but the easiest way is to do it kind of diagonally. You hold up the system like that, and then you can see the buttons from the other side. But go ahead and press the buttons in, And that's pretty much it. Now the next step is we could technically take some of these guys, these buttons, which go in super easily, like you can't mess this up, but I don't like the fact that there is this half side covering the clear area, and that's gonna prevent some of the light going through, so I'm not gonna do that. So this is pretty much done. Let's go ahead and slide the ribbon cable right in first. So make sure the board is in the correct position and just slide it right through. And then you're going to make sure these guys have space. I'm gonna go ahead and just take them out with my tweezers. And the next trick to line this board up is to go downwards and slide it in first from the bottom up. So you kind of tilt the board upwards and then you just slide it in from the bottom and it goes in perfectly. And then you'll hear a confirming snap just like that. And that's pretty much all you have to do. Now the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure we're gonna do everything the opposite way, but we're gonna tackle these 3 screws in first to secure the board. So go ahead and grab those 3 screws and put them in. Again, go slow and don't apply too much torque. Like don't turn it so tight. They don't need to be super tight, just tight enough. Now that we've done that, the next thing we can do is we can go ahead and connect our speakers back in. These go in super easy, but once again, go slow and just push them right in. Simple as that. Yeah, I just like to give it a little bit of a push just to make sure they're in. All right, next is a ribbon cable. And this is super easy. All you have to do is line it up, slide it in, and here you will know if that white bar disappears when you close that little bracket down, you know you've done it right. But you want to line up that white bar with the corresponding area for that ribbon cable where it slides in. Next is the light bar, and you can see right there, as long as that circular area has that one plastic piece pointing up, you know you did it right, and you'll feel it. There's only one way for it to go in, so just make sure that plastic part is sticking up and you got it. Yeah, that was super simple. And then I'm just giving everything kind of a once over, making sure everything's tight, everything's looking good. We did those 3 screws, the top bar is good. And then now let's get that thermal, I guess tape or thermal whatever pad, and put that on the CPU. It just goes right on top of this area, right on the CPU, just line it up. And you're almost done. We're not 100% done, you're almost there, I promise, but this was the hardest part. You did it. The hardest part's done. Now, flip it over and give your buttons a quick press. Make sure everything's working well. And man, I really do like these green buttons. This looks absolutely, oh, it's so cool. All right, go ahead and turn your system over. And the first thing you want to do is go ahead and bring your backplate and plug that guy in like so. This goes in super easy. And the last part is to connect the Wi-Fi cable. I think that's a Wi-Fi cable. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but we're gonna go ahead and connect that guy by lining it up and just pushing down. So line it up like that and just apply a little pressure and you'll hear a click. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's very, very easy. Now, just close up your system. But before that, let me just make sure I got everything. Yeah, did everything. All right, yeah, double check your work. Make sure you're doing everything right. All right, now we just close the system the opposite way we did it. Just line everything up and push down, snap it into place. And yeah, now we just have to grab those 6 screws and just work our way backwards. So I'm gonna once again go ahead and work in a diagonal fashion. I'm not gonna tighten this fully all the way. I'm gonna first tighten it to a certain point, then do the diagonal, and then work your way around. And once everything is tightened, you did it. How easy was that? Turn on your system and I guess let's check out our work and make sure everything's working. Go into settings, systems, and then go find hardware test. And once you enter hardware test, go ahead and press all of those buttons to make sure everything is working. And yep, it looks like everything is working. And when you're done, you can just go ahead and press, I believe it's home and select to exit. But yeah, everything's working perfectly. Man, dude, this thing looks absolutely sick. So there you go. That's the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed watching. Go out and customize your own TrimUI brick.